With modern facilities and institutions and a growing number of ways to spend your free time, the City of Durant has all of the ingredients to nurture a rewarding and comfortable way of life.
Main Street anchors historic downtown Durant, occupying about a 9-block area. It's replete with locally owned shops and a burgeoning number of spots for dining and entertainment. This
Good afternoon, everyone. It is now 6:01 and the September 14th, 2021 Durant City Council meeting is now in session. If everyone would please stand while James Dalton gives our invocation.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for the beauty of the day we got to enjoy, Father. We thank you for the blessings of the day. Lord, we thank you for the breath of life you give us and the health you give us. Lord, we just pray tonight as our council does the business of the city that you'll give them wisdom. Father, that you will allow us to do what needs to be done for all of our city. Father, give them strength to make those tough decisions, Father. Lord, we thank you for every good thing. We thank you for where we live, Father. We thank you for the families that are represented. We pray that you be with those families tonight, be with those who have traveled. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please remain standing while Councilman Morris leads the flag salute.
Will you join me in the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Would the clerk please record call the roll?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Here.
Mayor Gruby.
Here. We all here tonight. Welcome, everyone. Our first item is citizen comments. And I do have, these are filled out right before the meeting. And I do have one comment. Mr. Bachman, would you please step forward, give your name, address, and you will be allowed to speak for 5 minutes. This is on non-agenda items. Did I say 5 minutes? I meant 3. Sorry.
I know.
No, it's 3 minutes.
This won't take long. It's Charlie Bachman. I live at 3111 Little John here in Durant. Again, I'm asking the council to consider seriously hiring a civil engineer so that we can upgrade the codes that the city has. We've got many outdated codes. We've got many insufficient codes. For example, we don't have a code that I'm aware of for the maintenance of containment areas. Who is responsible for the maintenance of containment areas? We don't have any codes for HOAs or covenants that I'm aware of. There are state codes, but for example, if you establish an HOA in the city, or the developer establishes an HOA for his development or puts in covenants, unless he incorporates that under state law, it's useless, because it would be neighbor suing neighbor to get anything done. There is no central HOA to deal with things. So a lot of times a developer will come in and put up an HOA to cover himself in the beginning, and then he just kind of drifts away, and then nobody enforces the covenants. If there are covenants, there may be there's something the city can do to come up with codes that would enforce those codes. Our building codes are a joke. Our road construction roads are still substandard. We have increased the base to 6 inches, but we have nothing in the code that requires that they do geotechnical studies, and then that they stabilize the base and compact and can stabilize the base prior to construction. These are just a few, and if we had a civil engineer and when he was tasked with going over our codes, he could bring a lot of them up into the 21st century. We're back in the horse and buggy stage right now. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. We have 2 presentations tonight. Can everybody hear me? I feel like my microphone's a mile away. The first presentation is a letter of retirement We're going to have Chief Hauser come forward and do this presentation to Lieutenant Jesse Petty.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. And I would like to ask Jesse to come on up with me, if you don't mind. And it's with great honor that I'm pleased to announce Lieutenant Jesse Petty's retirement. And want to shake his hand first. But I want to tell you guys a little bit about Jesse. Jesse's been with us for a little over 21 years and an integral part of the Durant Police Department, has served his citizens in an outstanding manner. I'm not aware of any disciplinary action that he's ever received, a spotless record. He's been our K-9 officer, he's been our alert instructor, he's been our honor guard assistant commander, and he's had his hand, his ideas, and his service integrated in everything that the Durant Police Department has come to be. We are what we are because of men like Jesse Petty. So Jesse, I'm gonna read this letter to you. It said, I'd like to personally thank you for your service to the Durant Police Department, to the citizens of Durant. Having advanced through the patrol ranks and achieved the rank of lieutenant is something of which to be proud. I'd like to congratulate you on your retirement and accept your letter indicating your retirement on August 25th of 2021. Your service record will reflect your service date as June 28th of 2000 to August 25th of 2021, which will credit your total time in service to Durant at 21 years, 0.17 months. And by having 20 years or more, sir, of total service in the Oklahoma Police Pension Retirement System, you qualify to maintain your issued service breast badge, which you have retained, a retired officer commission card, which I have right here, your department issue handgun, which you retained, along with this letter acknowledging your retirement. Sir, congratulations. This also comes with a plaque, and it says, presented to Jesse Petty. Jesse, you've set an example to be followed in the future and cherished by those of us who were fortunate enough to have experienced it for ourselves. With honesty and dedication, you pledged to protect and serve. Using courage and compassion, your community you did preserve. May the years of your retirement be rich, rewarding, kind, and may there be no limit to the happiness you find. And that was from an unknown author, but that's my sentiments as well. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement of outstanding service. Sir. Now,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I will like to add that Jesse has taken a position as the chief of police with the Choctaw Tribal Police. So just because he's leaving the Durant Police Department does not mean he is finished serving the citizens of Durant. And I would also like to ask if Jeffy has any comments as well. But sir, thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No, I'd just like to say what an honor it's been. I've learned a lot. I'm a better person for it. All the leadership I've had over the years from different leaders within the department, and absolutely it's going to help me moving forward in my new adventure. So thank you for the time and the citizens I've been able to serve.
Thank you. Jesse, on behalf of the council, thank you for your service. Our next presentation is a proclamation for Walk and Roll to School Day, October 6, 2021. And our city manager is going to come down front and present it. If you two people will come up front, please.
Whereas the City of Durant supports programs dedicated to improving quality of life for our young people who represent the nation's greatest resource, and during the years ahead will assume the responsibility in our great community. And whereas the City of Durant has designated October 6th, 2021 as the annual Durant Walk and Roll to School Day in conjunction with the official International Walk to School Day, promoting students community-wide to get out and walk or bike to school. And whereas the Durant Police Department and city staff will coordinate efforts with the Durant Independent School District to provide guidance and patrol for travel routes and activities on October 6th. And whereas our students need guidance, inspiration, and encouragement, which we can give in order to help develop and continue healthy lifestyles with a sincere willingness to help prepare them in every way for their current and future responsibilities to serve the community of Durant and America. And whereas to achieve this worthy objective, we shall continue our partnership with the Durant School District to proclaim our support for the hopes and aspirations of our students. Now therefore, Odom Gruby, Mayor of Durant, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim October 6th, 2021 as Durant Walk and Rolls to School Day.
Congratulations. Our next item on our agenda is consent items. We have number A through G. We can approve these all as one item, one vote, or we can pull out if any councilman wishes to pull any out to be voted on separate. You may do so at this time. If no one wishes to pull any of these out, then do we have a motion that we accept the consent items?
Motion to approve consent items.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Okay, and I will be doing voice votes tonight. So, Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shearer.
Aye.
Mayor Gruby.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll, under number 3, information items, unless anyone on the council has anything important they need to ask on any of these, we'll skip right on down to number 4, administration. Anybody have any questions on the information items? Number 4, administration. A, discussion, consideration, and possible action on resolution number R-2021-21, adopting the Durant Emergency Operation Plan, EOP. Hello, Kenneth.
Good evening. Once a year, we're required to update the emergency operation plan, and it's a good idea anyway, but it's part of our grant requirements. People change in different positions, and phone numbers change and things like that. So every August, we start updating the emergency operations plan, which is just a guide and resources to use in case of a large emergency. And we've completed that, and we've presented an electronic copy to each council member, and I just ask that you consider approving it.
Anyone have any questions for Ken?
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. Is there any discussion? Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve resolution R-2021-21, adopting the Durant Emergency Operations Plan.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have 2 seconds. Would the clerk record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shearer.
Aye.
Mayor Gruby.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 4B, discussion, consideration, and possible action on adopting the 2040 Comprehensive Plan and Future Land Use Plan, PC 2021-01.
Good evening. This is the comprehensive plan. We had this a few months ago before you guys, and no action was taken. We formed a committee and kind of went over some questions and concerns that were asked. So we're here tonight to bring back the comprehensive plan to kind of give you a little bit of explanation about a few things. Your comprehensive plan will generally be what's adopted, and then your zoning ordinances are adopted. The reason that is because a lot of times you want your zoning ordinances to be to match what your comprehensive plan on what your goals are. Now, there's some new items within the future land use map. That is some mixed-use districts and things like that. And those will have designations within the ordinances once they're updated. So I know there's a few questions about that, but that's kind of what will happen is there'll be those regulations when that time comes. Now, should there come a time where someone wants to come in, say we adopt the comprehensive plan this evening, and then a developer comes in and wants to do a mixed-use type development or something, we still have to go by what our current regulations are. So they would not be able to do, they may or may not be able to do what they want to do depending on what area it is and what our regulations currently say, depending on the situation. So just wanted to give that little bit of an update. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of the comprehensive plan. We did have a commissioner that asked that an additional action item be added, and that was to incentivize people living within school districts of Durant. That was the only other request that was made. So, and staff also recommends approval. If there are questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, then whatever you guys need.
Anyone have any questions for Danielle? Thank you, Danielle. Any further discussion? If not, do we have a motion?
I move we adopt the 2040 Comprehensive Plan and Future Land Use Map, PC 2021-01.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Danielle. Item number C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a preliminary plat for property located near Larkspur Lane and Prairie Crossing, PC 2021-17. Danielle again.
Yes, I have quite a few this evening. This is a preliminary plat for a 36-acre lot that will contain about 116 homes. There will still need to be engineering and drainage done, so that may fluctuate the number of actual usable lots. There is served by water and sewer, or that service will be extended. The anticipation is to have single-family homes with their own driveways. There is an electric easement that runs through the middle of the property. You may have seen that on the plat, where there's a kind of a big vacant area. That is an electrical easement. And then on Block 2 of Lot 9, there is an easement for a driveway to access a property that's to the southeast of the development, and that will be remaining in place as well. The Planning Commission did, and staff recommended approval of this item. There was a couple stipulations added. One was a corrective warranty deed. There was an error on the current warranty deed. The other one was a staff member requested some sewer plans be submitted. Those were submitted, but staff did not hear any comments back from the supervisor, so we don't know if there's any issues there. But a lot of times that will also be reviewed whenever it's time for the sewer and water to be laid. Let's see, there's the last one was to have a stormwater permit be filed with the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality, and also have a copy be submitted to staff. That's a state requirement that any lot that's developed over 1 acre has to require a stormwater permit. So, and that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Danielle? John, is this where I ask if anyone wants to speak? Okay. Does anyone wish to speak on this? Either pro or con? Please come forward, sir. Give your name and address. Keep it to 3 minutes. Thank you.
My name is Craig Tigner. I live at 3508 Lazy Lane. And my only concern is the traffic part of it. I mean, is there going to be any kind of like Wilson Road and Larkspur, it's not going to handle the traffic. That's my concern. Is there going to be any other outlets to get out, like the Radio Road or anything in that? Do you know? Or is all the traffic gonna go up Larkspur and Wilson? Because they're building that right next to the apartments. That's just a question I have, because it's kind of a busy area getting there. So I was wondering, is there gonna be another exit to the neighborhood? No. Okay.
Does Danielle need to speak to that?
That was my only question.
I certainly can. There is an entrance, I'll go to Little John, and then that'll be down to Larkspur and have a couple other little roads in there as well. But the main entrance is either gonna be off of Larkspur or Little John, depending on which way that they wanna go into their property.
Okay. Thank you, Danielle.
I don't want to speak last, so when everyone else has finished speaking, then I'd like to speak.
Ma'am, I saw a lady raise her hand. Would you come forward, please? Give your name and address.
My name's Brenda Hicks, and I live at 3533 Carriage Point Drive in Heritage Crossing. And we've lived there for almost 6 years now, and traffic keeps picking up continually. And sometimes there's just no stopping it. And sometimes people speed through going really fast. And there are no signs up anywhere, road signs saying to go at a certain speed or anything like this. The road is very narrow. If you haven't ever gone down that road, you should, because the road is just wide enough for 2 cars to go by. And sometimes they're going by about 40 miles an hour or faster. And we have a lot of kids in this division too. And they ride bikes and play and everything like that. So it's kind of a situation that's waiting for something to happen. And so that concerns me, and it does a lot of people there. It also worries me and a lot of other people that live there that we're building more and more houses there, and we've got a very narrow road. So it's getting very congested. And when you get up to the stop sign and you're going to continue on Larkspur going south, we have that little zigzag there. And it's kind of a cautious thing, because sometimes you've got 3 cars trying to stop and go through there. It's not a very safe thing. I feel like that it should be expanded going straight. I feel like, and I know that there's not a room for us to have shoulders on it, at least in our subdivision there's not, because we've got very deep ditches. So this concerns me, but also a lot of other people in our neighborhood. And since we are going to be having more houses on the north end, it's going to be a lot more congested. Now we're hearing that there's going to be a lot of houses built on, let's see, the west side of Larkspur in our subdivision. And so I don't know how many houses are going to go in there, but it's quite a big number of houses. And that's way too many houses to be in there with everybody having maybe 1 to 2 cars or 3 cars coming and going all the time on a narrow road like that. And we don't have any way to go out. And evidently they're not planning on any road taking us out of there. If we were to get a fire down there, then we have one way out. So it's a hazard, and it's a safety hazard, and I'm not the only one that feels this way, but there are a lot of people in our subdivision that does feel that way. We need to get something done. We need to have some decent roads to go in and out. These are new houses. They pay a lot on city taxes and things, and I think that they deserve to have a better way in and out. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, I might remind you that property taxes the houses pay does not go to the city.
I know it, but still, they're here and they're paying taxes. We've got to get some money somewhere to get in there and do something.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? How are you?
Hi, my name's Peggy Savage. I live at 3301 Little John. My property is adjacent to this neighborhood that's going to be developed on the last house on the left on Little John. We've had that property for a couple of years now, and we're very proud to be there. We have a wonderful home, has a lot of land around us. We're a city block long in what we own, and that's how our neighborhood is. It's people with spacious yards, spacious. We take pride in our community, in our area. And I am proud citizen of Durant, not opposed to growing and developing, and I know that's going to happen. But what we're talking about here is 117 homes in a very tiny, or 16, whatever that number is, in a very tiny, compact area. And I'm very concerned not only about the traffic, but what it's going to do to the value of my property. I mean, we maintain a nice house, we're happy to have it, but I feel like when you put all these little tiny houses in small lots right beside us, it's going to destroy the value of my home and all the homes in our neighborhood. And, you know, I don't feel like I don't think we're planning for how we should do things. We talked to the Planning Commission to try and have them consider a transitional phase, something that would allow for a gradual change into something like that, instead of just an immediate division that's going to cause a decrease in our property value. And they basically said property value wasn't their concern, that we needed to talk to the council. So that's why I'm here tonight, is to say, please, please think about what this is for our city. I mean, we should think about things prior to doing them, then think about it after the fact. There's something out there for a transition zone, but they've tabled it all. They haven't done anything with it. And now this is on the agenda to be decided without even looking at that as possibly happening yet. So I know you all had agreed to form a committee to look at that you felt it was worth doing that. So I would ask that this not be approved until some more thought is put into it, and maybe looking at a transition type thing so our homes are not devalued. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the other side that wishes to speak before we go to Charlie?
I want to just make a comment.
Okay.
I'm Tasha Cummins. I'm the 5.5 acres that's going to be affected too. I have talked to Mr. Holder, and hopefully we'll come up to agreement about I'm the one with the easement. I just want to make sure that my easement remains. I'll have access to my property at all time, and that does not change. So that's my biggest concern, that is considered whenever you approve it. And if Mr. Holder and I come up to agreement afterwards, great. But otherwise, I just want to make sure that y'all keep that in consideration. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before Charlie speaks? Is Buddy over there, or any on that side? Buddy, do you need to speak, or?
Not right now.
Okay. Charlie, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
3 minutes, and the flow opens up, Charlie.
Charlie Bachman, 3111 Little John Drive, Durant. There's two major things wrong with this proposal. Number one, our infrastructure will not support it. All of the streets, it empties onto Little John. Little John, as everyone in the council knows, was built by the city. It's a poorly constructed road. It's 2 inches of base, 2 inches of asphalt. It will not stand heavy traffic. All of the roads leading from that out to Englewood, which would be the exit point, are county roads, old county roads. That's Epler, Little John, Robin Hood, Sleepy Hollow, and then finally Englewood. All of the traffic goes through that. You're already seeing, the young lady said, the problem they're having right now at Heritage is going to be increased. The density is too great. The City Planning Commission did state, they did pass it, but they also stated that they could not consider property values or people's loss of value in their decision. They had to go strictly by city codes, so that lays it back on you guys. So, well, I'm asking you to do the right thing and disapprove this plat as it sits, let them resubmit it in a lower density, and we'll see how we go forward from there. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I moved to Durant in 1978. At the time, I was at the hospital 24/7, 365, given anesthesia. I didn't have time to come to council meetings to visit. I built a home in a new subdivision, 4,000 square foot home. The developer lost the property, went to the bank foreclosed on it. They sold it to someone else, and they built 1,000-square-foot homes across the street from me. I personally lost $40,000. What do you think this is going to do to the folks in Camelot who are going to have 5 little houses across the back of their property? I'm surprised that they're not more upset than I am. But we've been talking about this problem for as long as I've been back in Durant, and nothing gets done. It's talk, 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 talk. It's time to stop talking and actually get something done.
Thank you, Charlie. Since this was not a public hearing, I'm going to close this at this time. Shouldn't have been open to begin with. And we're going to go ahead. Is there any discussion? Do any members of the council have any questions? Are we ready to call for the vote? If we are, do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the preliminary plat PC 2021-17 for the property located at Larkspur Lane and Prairie Crossing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
And Councilmember Brittingham,
Aye.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Number D, discussion, consideration, and possible action on Ordinance O-2021-25, a rezoning request from R2, two-family residential, to C3, general commercial, for property located near North 2nd Avenue and Cedar Street, PC 2021-23. Ms. Danielle again.
Yes. This is a rezoning request that's actually done by the city. The reason behind this is there's currently an office building that sits on the property. That office building was actually constructed in 1968, so it has been there for quite some time and has been used as an office building for most of those years. So that's the biggest reason why. The owners are interested in doing something with the property, but the way it is currently, zoning ordinances won't allow it because it's currently zoned as residential. The surrounding area is mostly commercial on the beyond the east and south and sides, and there's commercial uses pretty much all around them except the north. There is a residential property there. I did look into a couple other pieces. In 2003, the Central Business District was established, which was seen as kind of doing a rezoning. That's what the city proposed and was approved. In 2015, there's also another rezoning that was done by the city on West Side Drive. So there's been a couple cases that was discovered where this did occur previously. At the Planning Commission meeting, one of the questions was whether or not we were able to do this. Tom was there to kind of help answer that question, and I'm going to paraphrase, and forgive me if I miss something, or if I don't, please correct me. Essentially, that it is possible to do. It is just whether or not you all and the Planning Commission choose to go down that avenue. The Planning Commission did ultimately recommend denial on this. The staff still remains to recommend approval. So that if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Planning Commission Chairman Kevin Keener is also here if you have questions about what occurred at Planning Commission.
I might add for reference, the building is the old employment office, and it's been there, like you said, since 1964, and all these years, as far as I know, it's been used for commercial. And then someone the man that owned it wanted to lease it out and found out it was residential, and he couldn't lease it out as commercial. And I don't know anything else that building could be used for as far as residential. And then when I mentioned it to John, he found out that there used to be Carpet Place, I think it's a flower shop now, and on up the Pregnancy Center and all those places, they all were zoned residential, but they're being used as commercial. So that was why we thought this needed to be zoned commercial. If that makes sense to everybody.
Yes.
Okay.
So did this individual approach you about the rezoning?
They did not. It was between Mayor Gruby and the city manager and myself all kind of had that discussion.
Steve, I might add that when I was approached, they had gone to to Danielle, and she had told them that they could not rent it to a business because it was residential. And that's when we found out that it had been residential all these years. I guess even when it was an employment office, it was residential. And that's how we found out.
So what did they approach you to want to do with it?
I don't recall exactly the exact use that they were wanting to do, but it was a commercial use. They called asking about what the rezoning was, and we told them that it was residential. And they said, well, what can we do with it? And I'm like, you know, residential use is nothing commercial. And I guess they went on to Mayor Gruby. We never heard anything after that, so until John approached me.
And the other ones are the Flower Shop, Mike's Texaco, and First Baptist Church.
Right, so this first one, we had to divide
the
up the
pregnancy
cases,
center.
but yes, that first one's where the office building is. The next case is that one where the church parking lot is. I believe it's the pregnancy center that sits there, and then a vacant lot that, I say vacant, it has a part of Mike's garage on it, but the owner of Mike's garage did come and approach me about wanting to do a commercial use there, and that was recently, and I explained to him that, again, it was residential, and I did tell him that the city had a rezoning going forward, and it would depend on what happened with that.
He approached you before or after all this come to light?
It was after. We was already doing the publication for it whenever he came forward, so.
Well, I guess the issue I have with it is, regardless of what it was used for and has been, if we get in the business of the city starting to decide which businesses need to be rezoned or not, but if we think it's a fit or not, even though it has been used as commercial, I know it's also been used as a church in the past. How is that fair to other individuals that's approached the city and have to go through the process and pay the fees? And where do we draw the line? Who gets to decide and pick and choose? And how much did that cost for the city to do all the letters and publication?
I believe the abstract list was around $1,200, I believe.
And again, that's my point. The city does not need to be spending money, in my opinion, for these type of requests. If the applicant needs to correct it based on something that was done in the past, then they need to correct it. I don't think we should be in the business of deciding. That's just my opinion.
I completely understand, and I will say that there are some areas in the city that was annexed in, and then the zoning was done at that point in time, and then the use has changed and they never changed the zoning. There are a few cases or some dual zone property that we at some point are going to have to figure out how to handle, or if it ultimately comes down to it, then the owner will take care of it. So it's just kind of a test bed, if you will, to see how you all want to handle moving forward.
And the planning commission's was unanimous denial, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
John, do you need to address that? Or?
Well, to me, it was just simply correcting a mistake that had been made in the past. So that whole area is zoned residential, but used as commercial. To me, it was simple for the city to fix something that we allowed to happen in the past. So that was my thought process. So.
Has the property changed hands, ownership, property changed hands? I mean, when it was employment?
I
I believe the deed stated it changed hands in 1996, Councilman.
Yes.
92.
To the previous owner.
Any further questions for Danielle? Any further discussion? Are we ready to call for a motion?
I make a motion we approve ordinance 0-2021-25.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Section 1.
Section 1. Do we have we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham,
Nay.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear,
Aye.
Mayor Groby?
Aye. Motion carries. Section 2 has the emergency clause. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve the emergency clause, section 2.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham?
Aye.
Councilmember Miller?
Aye.
Councilmember Morris?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear?
Aye.
Mayor Groby?
Aye. Motion carries. Item number E, discussion, consideration, and possible action on Ordinance O-2021-26, a rezoning request from R3 General Residential to C3 General Commercial for property located near North 2nd Avenue and Beach Street, PC 2021-24. You again.
Me again. Yes, this is the same similar situation, just south of the Second and Cedar lot. Currently, it has the parking lot on it and the pregnancy center that's owned by the church, and then also the two areas we were just discussing about the Mike's Garage. And then I will say that the the structure that's on the property is built in 1908. It was used originally as a house back then, and obviously there was no zoning back in that day either. And then it was platted around 1970. That was discovered, or before. That's the latest date, or the earliest date we could find as far as the plat goes. So.
Okay.
That's not the old flower shop, is it?
No, it's south of the flower shop. The flower shop is actually zoned commercial, but the lot south of that's residential.
Okay, any other questions for Ms. Danielle? Thank you, ma'am. Do we have a motion or do we have further discussion? If not,
On that last issue, did the property owner pay for the sending out the letters and everything to have it rezoned?
No, sir. The city paid for the abstract list for both cases. It was combined on the abstract list.
I think this was done at the same time as the other.
Correct,
This
it
was all
was.
done at the same time.
We just divided them up since it was two different geographic areas, a block apart, just so that it would be a little easier to navigate.
I mean, it seems to me like the property owner ought to be the one who bears the cost of changing the zoning rather than the city.
Normally, that's the case, and as I explained a little bit earlier, where we have a lot of properties that, I don't know how many exactly, but there's several where the city put in a zoning or a dual zone property that we're going to have to figure out how to ultimately fix, whether it's going to be on the property owner or whether the city figures out how to fix that for them. Some of the areas I'm referring to is down on South 9th. There's a lot of areas down there that there's a strip that was laid that was commercial, but the rest of that's residential. So it just causes for, or ag, it just causes for some complicated issues when we're trying to tell a person of a zoning of a property. Or if they want to use that property for something.
This was kind of a surprise when we found out, that it wasn't commercial. It should have been to begin with.
Right.
And I don't know when all this happened.
I'm not sure either, Mayor,
Yeah.
but I will say too that the zoning ordinances that the city has was not really adopted until around 1983. So there's probably quite a bit that could have happened prior to that we're unaware of. Obviously, I've not been here that long, but usually they'll put in something prior to that, and then it doesn't change.
Yeah. Any other questions for Danielle? Any further discussion? Are we ready to call for a motion?
I move we approve section 1 of ordinance 0-2021-26.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Nay.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Nay.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Section, number 1, Section 1 of Ordinance O-2021-26, that's what we just voted on. So, Section 2, Emergency Clause, do we have a motion?
I move we approve Section 2 Emergency Clause at O-2021-26.
Okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Nay.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Item number F, discussion, consideration, and possible action on ordinance O-2021-27, a rezoning request from I-1 light industrial to I-2 medium industrial for property located near McLean Drive and the Kiamichi Railroad, PC 2021-26. Danielle again. You're getting as bad as Miss Becca.
I know, I'm starting to feel that way a little bit. This is, the DIA actually approached staff about this property to be rezoned. They have a potential company that was interested, or that is interested in this particular piece of property. However, one of the things that they're needing is a rail spur. The current zoning ordinances, the only zoning district you can have a rail spur or switch yard or anything in is I-2, which is one of the main reasons that the I-2 is being asked for. From the understanding from the Planning Commission meeting, it is a manufacturing company that is interested in the property, and that's all that we can really, all that was really stated. The total lot size is about 39 acres. The Planning Commission did recommend denial of this, but staff does recommend approval. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Ms. Lisa's here as well if you have any questions for her from the DIA's perspective.
I do have a question based on what you just said.
Sure.
I-2 is the only thing that can have a railroad spur in it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When did the city, or when was this zoned to I-1?
That was zoned, I believe, it's taken ownership in 2006 by the DIA, and then it was, I had that zoning ordinance. 2001, thank you, Lisa. 2011 is when it was rezoned to I-1 from R3.
Okay, so I guess my question kind of goes back to what the last two ones we just did. If it was zoned I-1, and it really needed to be zoned I-2 because it has a railroad access and a railroad spur, the city dropped the ball on this one. So why didn't the city do the application for this one as well?
With it being
My point being, where do you draw the line?
Right, and you're right. And the city, there was no application fee because it was a city entity, but the DIA did pay for the abstract list.
Out of those funds?
Correct. And the initial 2011, I somehow misplaced that ordinance, but I believe it was the city that did the rezoning of that one potentially. I may be wrong on that one. I'll have to pull it up in an email.
To I-1?
Yes, I believe. I'm not, don't quote me on that. I'll have to pull it up, but I somehow misplaced it.
Any other questions?
And we are referring to the 39 acres on the southern end of that property?
Correct. It's the most southern piece that DIA owns. It's right just north of the railroad tracks. Yes.
I have a comment. I consider that 39 acres a very desirable property and somewhere where we would benefit with a good, solid company. And I also believe I-1 is very restrictive. And the kind of thing I would imagine there to be a benefit to the city would require things like a rail spur, and they might be a light manufacturer. So I just think it's a good thing, personally.
Any other comments? Thank you, Danielle. Any discussion? If not, we call for the vote. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve ordinance O-2021-27, Section 1.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Section 2, emergency clause. Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve Section 2, emergency clause.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Motion carries. Item G, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a plat request for property located at 401 South 9th Avenue, PC 2021-27. Hello, why don't you just stay up here?
I know. It's been quite busy, I'm telling you. So this is a replat request to divide a single lot into 2 lots. The subject property right now total is 9,700 square feet. The property that will wind up being the east lot was 7,300 square feet, and the west lot is approximately 6,000 square feet. The properties are zoned as C3, and it does meet the current lot area for C3. As to mention, the applicant does have a application in for the Board of Adjustments for a variance on the lot size requirements and hopes to place a duplex. Talking with the applicant, he is still wanting to divide that property regardless of what happens with the Board of Adjustment. So I did want to state that. The applicant's here as well, so if you have any questions or comments. The Planning Commission the staff did sign up on the application. The only thing we'll need is the signatures, or the property owner's signature. The Planning Commission did recommend approval, and staff recommends approval of this replat.
Any questions for Danielle?
Is that Alabama Street?
Louisiana, just south of where Wright's Drive-In is.
That's where they built a new building there, right?
Correct. That's the business that's going to be there. Impact Realty is what it is.
Realty company?
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Any further discussion? If not, we'll call for the motion.
Motion to approve the preliminary or plat request for property located at 401 South 9th, PC 2021-27.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Number H, discussion, consideration, and possible action on Ordinance O-2021-28, updating Chapter 111 pertaining to tobacco regulations. Hello again.
Hello again. I promise this is my last one. So this is an update of the tobacco ordinances. There was a state statute that was adopted last year. It was State Bill 1423, and it was adopted and signed off by the governor that moved the age up to 21 and included a few other things that our court ordinance did not have. It was discovered while Blue Zones was working on kind of the healthy community side of things, and they asked to see the ordinance, and they said, do you know this doesn't match state law? And I was like, no. So anyways, they worked on it and helped me work on it. We passed it off to Tom as well and John, and so that's kind of where we're at. We're just asking for approval of the ordinance to bring it into current state standards.
Any questions for Danielle?
What does that change exactly? Give me an example of that.
Sure. So what it'll change is it moves the age up from 18 to 21. It does include the vapor products, and I think those are the two main things that it really did change.
Is that 21 to purchase or 21 to use?
21, I believe it's 21 to purchase and use. Yes, 21 to purchase and use. Yep.
Any further questions? Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Before we move on, I just want to clarify, it really doesn't address the, other than in public area use, it doesn't really address the age or give enforcement on use. It primarily is sales, purchases, and distribution. It sets the age and lists the types of products, mostly vapes. It adds that. So.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Are we ready to call for the vote? Call for the motion.
Make a motion to approve ordinance O 2021-28, updating chapter 111 pertaining to tobacco regulations for section 1 and 2.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Section 2, emergency clause. Do we have a
Motion to approve section 3, emergency clause.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Number I, discussion, consideration, and possible action on acceptance of a proposal for excess insurance with Arch Insurance Company. Well, hello, Miss Kara, a different face.
Hello. As you may know, the City of Durant is self-funded for workman's comp. And what that means is rather than us paying a premium for coverage, we contract with a third-party administrator and then are responsible for all of the claims directly. While we do budget for workers' comp every year, we do have some exposure in regards to catastrophic claims. And because of that, we have asked Insurica, which is also our broker for health insurance, to go out for proposals for excess insurance. Excess insurance is essentially insurance for your insurance. If we have a claim that exceeds a certain amount, the established amount per the policy, then at that time, the excess insurance would cover the claim. And this could be for catastrophic claims, substantial claims, life-altering claims, injuries, life-altering injuries, or claims that span over several years. Glenn with Insurica is here to go over the specifics of the proposal. And if you have any questions about the city specifically and what we're doing with workers' comp, I'm here to answer questions as well.
At this time, are we totally self-insured?
We are completely self-insured with workers' comp, yes.
How long have we been like that? Just curious.
Since I've been here, which is at least 10 years. Now, given our experience with being self-insured with health insurance and the positive that we've experienced since going fully insured in 2017, I have inquired about the benefit of being self-insured versus being fully insured where workers' comp is concerned, and the answer is always the same. As long as we're managing our workers' comp program, then being self-insured is ideal. And we are. We now have a safety officer and we have established a safety committee. And Public Works especially is very heavy on safety and providing safety equipment and making sure that everybody's doing what they need to do.
Thank you.
Okay, any other? Okay.
Good evening, different face. As Carrie mentioned, I'm with Insurica Insurance Management Network out of Oklahoma City, and I'm with the same company that provides your health insurance. As Carrie mentioned, we entered into probably doing the due diligence probably over a year ago. We got slowed down with COVID, and we tabled it, and then we came back. So in a roundabout way, we worked with Carrie, we got the necessary information, and then we went to the marketplace for you guys. And since you are currently self-insured, we looked at situations where you would be in a high deductible situation, and the current environment and within the industry right now, the lowest deductible we could offer was $750,000 or self-insured retention limit, up to $1 million. And after we gathered all the quotes and they came in, what we proposed was with Arch Insurance, and they had the $750,000 self-insured retention limit. So what you'd be looking at is to limit your exposure on catastrophic losses, like Carrie mentioned. So once it exceeds that limit, the city of Durant is, for all intents and purposes, not bare. So, and I'm here to answer any questions if you have them.
Do we have any idea what our workers' comp totals are running now, Carrie?
Specifics, but we do have a reserve. I did check with the pension, and we have a reserve there available to pay this premium. As far as what we budget, we generally budget about $1,800 per employee to build that fund up. We haven't. We're not in a situation where this is an emergency. This is for situations that can arise that are unexpected. The workers' comp program itself is not having any issues. It's funded.
If I understood you correctly, sir, once we reach that $750,000 threshold, that's when your insurance kicks in.
Exactly. So this is, the best way to describe it is an excess policy.
Right.
So think of the city's, liability policy, and I'm sure you have an excess over that. So just for a employer that is self-funded and, they look at the way it has been managed over the last 10 years, and the broker I dealt with, they were familiar with the city of Durant, and I believe they actually wrote it the last time you guys chose to take an excess policy. And so we have to gather a lot of data. Carrie gave us 10 years worth of history. I mean, it's underwritten just like it would be any other insurance policy, but due to the high self-insured retention limit, it's underwritten from a different aspect. And so based on your 10-year history that we provided for them, I guess you could say scored well. So, there was no hesitancy by the underwriters to take the risk on an excess basis.
So in other words, we pay a premium every year.
You're self-funded. What you do, you have a third-party administrator.
Right.
You would pay a premium for the excess part every year.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, on an annual basis.
And we wouldn't need it till it hit over $750,000.
Right.
Do we know what that premium is?
Yes, it's $120,000 roughly. It's right under 120.
Is this $750,000 per occurrence employee or
It's
total?
each accident, each disease, statutory limit, part 1. So, and then your employer's liability limits that go with the work comp policy are $1 million across the board. So.
For each person? How many claims?
And what you would do is, Carrie knows more of the data on the actual claims, what we'd look at, but you would, if the city has a claim and they think it is going to be catastrophic, we would we would let the carrier know as soon as possible, and usually that is something that you think that initially is going to be half of what your self-insured retention limit is. And that's kind of the threshold and the indication that you need to put your carrier on notice. In terms of actual, where you've come close to that, do you have more information on that?
So while I've been here, we haven't had any injuries occur that I believe would meet this threshold. Prior to me being employed here, though, we had injuries that are carrying on to now. So maybe the 750 isn't applicable, you know, in the first few years, but if you have a claim that has ongoing medical, at one particular claim, we have the judge ordered that we continue medical and permanent disability for the life of the claim, which is essentially the life of the individual. And so where it didn't apply right then, if we had had this in place, we would be receiving the excess insurance to cover those ongoing costs. And I know that the premium seems like a lot, and honestly, I hope that we pay it and we never have to use it, because that means we didn't have an employee that experienced, you know, an injury that severe or worse. But I do also know that if we don't have this in place and it happens, it will be a significant financial burden to the city.
So we might pay this $125,000 another 10 years and never have to use it.
Yes.
Going above.
Hopefully, I hope.
Right, hopefully we don't. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
How many claims, I mean, is there just one claim right now that's gone over $750,000?
One specific, I want to say that it happened in 2000 and guessing 2007 or so. It was right before I started here in 2011. And then there's another one that potentially hasn't made it there yet, but possibly it could. But we didn't have excess insurance in place at that time. I can tell you the one that's on the books right now, we didn't have excess insurance, and then almost immediately we got excess insurance, and then a couple of years went by and the excess insurance was dropped. So we recognized then, whenever it happened, that we needed to have excess insurance in place, and then somewhere along the lines it wasn't renewed.
So you can't, can you tell me how much we're spending every year on workman's comp?
That's what
It varies. I can't give you a specific.
we can't get a 10-year average or something,
Oh, yeah,
basically.
I can provide you with information. I just don't have it with me right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
I'd like
something
to
that you
see
wanna-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we took this $125,000 and didn't need it, we could put it in a fund in,
The board of self-insurance.
right, toward the self.
Yeah.
8 years, you'd have $1 million, and you can eat up $1 million really quick. So that's my concern. If you put 125 into it, if you self-insure that.
Well, yeah, but it won't, we got to get up to 750,000 for it.
No, I mean, if we did what you just said and we put it, instead of paying the premium, we'd stick that in a rat hole. In 8 years, we'd have $1 million. That could be spent real quick with a catastrophic accident.
Right, but we already, they're not gonna kick in until it's 750,000.
I'll just,
I think we ought to table this maybe and get a little bit more information, or,
I mean, I'd like to see, I mean, this 120,000, what percentage of what are we spending a year on? I mean, is this like 2% of what we're spending a year on workman's comp, or 50%?
yeah, how much do we spend on workers' comp? Would anybody be in agreement to maybe let's table this until Kara could get us a little bit more information, or do y'all wanna vote on it tonight?
I'm perfectly fine giving you additional information. That's okay. But whether we're spending a little on workers' comp, but we're spending a lot on workers' comp. This would only apply if we have an injury that, or a death that, it is.
It's catastrophic.
Exactly.
That's what the excess is
Right.
for.
I think
because-
that type of analysis is sort of akin to looking to see, well, if our house hasn't burned down in the last 10 years, maybe it makes sense to cancel our homeowner's insurance. But it doesn't, because insurance seems expensive.
Until you-
If you haven't used it, it seems real cheap if you have a catastrophic claim. And I'm not advocating either way, but just because we haven't reached, catastrophic claim in a certain number of years or a percentage of our insurance doesn't mean that catastrophic, excess coverage isn't warranted.
I guess it's in the budget, isn't it? I mean, we got the copy of the budget of
We
of
didn't
what.
we did not initially budget for this, because we've been working on this for a while, and I wasn't sure when we would get the proposals and all of that, but I have worked with finance to identify funds, to cover this.
How many towns our size self-insured? I mean, kind of what is the standard for?
Well, working with the broker, you guys are kind of right at that. You could go A or B way, so you're right at the threshold that, and the ones that kind of reach this exposure in total payroll, because that's what it is based on, they take the excess and they do exactly what you're doing now. You self-fund on the primary, and then you take an excess policy out.
So most towns our size probably self-funded.
Exactly. This is the direction that they choose to go.
We also, so in order for us to be self-funded, because workers' comp is 100% regulated by the state, in order for us to be self-funded, I have to do a self-insurance renewal permit every year. And one of the questions is, do you have excess insurance? And I believe after we hit a certain, I don't know if it's number of employees or certain number of claims, I'm not sure what the threshold is, but I believe that there is a point where we will be required to have excess insurance, because we have to be able to keep our plan funded and account for all the risks.
So that's approximately $500-600 a year per employee, 120,000.
That's
Right.
right, Steve. Yes, sir.
Yes.
So about $45 a month, which is not that much. I mean,
No,
in
and
the
My
scheme
car
of
insurance
things,
was that cheap.
well, I mean, we all know medical, it's not going down. I mean, last time I went to the doctor, they didn't say, oh, well, we're gonna lower your copay this month. Everything goes up, it's gonna continue to go up. I mean, we've had some relatively catastrophic to us, not death in our family, and it does not take long to hit your caps, pretty quick.
no, and some of the, like the secretarial or the clerical, their rate is a lot lower. It's
And I know
almost
this
nothing.
is work comp is what we're talking about, but, I mean,
And we also
lifelong
require-
care is a long time, yes, and the fire and police officers, usually when they have an injury, it's more
Well,
significant.
see, theirs would be hiring the guys that work at Public Works on equipment and
It's
stuff
the
would
same.
have.
The premium covers everyone.
About what is our gross
That's
payroll?
correct.
I'm sorry, Mike?
Approximately, what is our annual gross payroll? Just ballpark,
It's a little over 10 million.
Yeah.
10 million. So you're looking at,
We allow 1,800
If that's what we.
per
that's what we-
employee per month. Right.
It's 1,800 an employee a year. That's what we put over.
For
into
work
the-
comp,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Are we ready to call for a vote? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal for excess insurance with Arch Insurance Company.
We
I
have,
second.
we have a motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham,
Aye.
Councilmember Miller,
Aye.
Councilmember Morris,
aye.
Vice Mayor Shear,
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Item number J, discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept the Federal Aviation Administration FAA Grant Award for the Airport Improvement Program, AIP, project number 3-40-0025-017-2021 in the amount of $194,220 for the update airport layout plan, ALP, with narrative project to support continued development for the Durant Regional Acre Field Airport. I knew I'd see you before the night was over. Hi, Miss
Well, I
Becky.
couldn't let Daniel have the whole show. I needed the rest, Danielle. I love presenting grants like this when there's no match. This is an FAA project, and it is to provide funding to update our airport layout plan, which is necessary for us to be able to seek other FAA funding to continue the development at the airport. And our consultants will be involved with the writing of this plan, and which James will talk about a little bit further. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Anything that says no matching sounds good to me.
Absolutely.
Are we ready to call for a vote on this?
I make the motion.
I mean a motion.
I make the motion that we accept the FAA grant, project number 3-40-0025-017-2021, in the amount of $194,220.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries. Item number M, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a contract agreement between the City of Durant and Bryan County for the housing and care
Another
of...
one.
Did I skip one?
We're on K.
Oh, I'm getting ahead of us, aren't I? Sorry about that. I'm wanting to get out of here. Number K, discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept the Federal Aviation Administration FAA Airport Rescue Grant Offer, grant number 3-40-0025-18-2021 in the amount of $59,000, ARPA KW 2021 for the Durant Regional Acre Field Airport in response to the coronavirus pandemic. Matt, thank you for letting me know it is Acre Field.
That's
Ms.
correct.
Becky.
Yes, we sometimes forget about that. This is another grant without any match. It is COVID-related, and it's for response at the airport to reduce that impact. And I'm not exactly sure what we've dedicated or designated to spend it on, James, but we'll spend it wisely.
The money, we can spend it basically however we want to, right? It just goes in the general
Right.
fund.
Yes, sir.
Any discussion? Any more questions for Ms. Becker? Call for a motion.
I make the motion we accept the grant for $59,000.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becca. Item number I, discussion, consideration, and possible... What'd I do wrong that time? L, sorry, guys. Discussion, consideration, and possible action on the airport layout plan with narrative update agreement between City of Durant and KSA Engineering.
What happened to M?
Oh, we're at L, sir.
Mike.
I get it. You're going alphabetic, I got it.
I'm confused enough.
Thank you, guys, Mayor,
Thank you,
Council.
James.
You bet.
Ends with well, huh?
As Becca just presented, obviously, we're going to get a $0 grant to the city for $194,000. As you know, previously we approved KSA being our contractor that helps us with airport advisory items. This grant that we have, KSA, we have negotiated with them for the exact amount to write that ALP with narrative so that we are zero out of pocket. Normally on these FAA grants, we have a 10% match. But because of the CARES money, they have waived that. The FAA has waived that. And so this will cost us $0 to get this plan created. I have, if you have questions specific to the plan or want to know how that's done, Adam Marsh with KSA is here with us tonight. Adam made the trip up from the Metroplex. Adam, if you'd like to come up, and if you have any questions for Adam, feel free to ask them. I asked for help and prayed to the Lord about it, and it looked like Jesus showed up. So, come on, brother. You're all right.
Well, Mayor and Council, thank you. As James mentioned, we are very excited to start this plan. We plan to get going next month, and this is typically about a 9 to 12 month process. It'll have several different components, but a few opportunities for public outreach, and so we'll be working closely with the airport and the committee that is determined by the airport to speak into the plan at the airport. So you will be seeing more from us as we get going on this, but if there's any specific questions, happy to answer them.
Anyone have any questions for this good-looking young man?
Which one?
Either one of them.
Appreciate you, brother.
Either one of them.
I've gone from the A team to the great team. Appreciate it.
I was kidding.
No, you weren't. They're both good-looking. Okay. Any discussion? Are we ready to call for the vote? Or call for the motion?
Make a motion to approve the airport layout plan with narrative update agreement between the City of Durant and KSA Engineering.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Would the clerk record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much, both of you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, James. Number M, that's not an N, Mike.
I get it.
Number M, discussion, consideration, and possible action on a contract agreement between the City of Durant and Bryan County for the housing and care of municipal prisoners, C-2021-65. Chief Hauser.
Thank you, Mayor. The Sheriff's Office submitted an agreement to house our prisoners, to care for them for approximately, well, not approximately, for $40 per day. And that's a contract that's consistent with, at least for the last 6 years. It hasn't gone up, hasn't gone down. I did submit a counter agreement to the Sheriff's Office. I submitted to Under Sheriff Tucker, and I proposed, instead of the $40 per day, that we just swap dispatch services for jail services. I called to follow up with Under Sheriff. He said that was on the sheriff's desk. I met with the sheriff the end of last week. That way I could bring you some information on that. He has not had a chance to look at that, he said. And he said even if he did have a chance to look at it, then it would have to go, above him, even to the district attorney as well. This agreement does run out this month. We still do need caring and your housing and care of our prisoners. $40 a day is not uncommon. I checked with some of the areas around us in Bryan County. It's comparable, definitely not higher than. And I will be happy to entertain any questions that you have.
Do the little towns like Caddo and with their own police departments use our county jail?
The majority of them does. I found one that did not.
$40 a day like that, like this?
Something very comparable. I hate to, throw out numbers for their agreements, but we're in line.
Councilman Morris, I could speak to that, I think, a little bit. Actually, Caddo doesn't. I think Caddo takes to Atoka, if I remember right.
That's the only one that did not use the Bryan County Jail
I think
for, and understand, for municipal prisoners.
Right.
They still take the district prisoners there.
It varies from small town to small town. I don't know if there's any with the Bryan County Jail, but I know some of the small towns will negotiate a flat rate per month for, because they may not have quite as many as Durant does, where Durant may have 10 one night and none the next night. If you had a small town like Colbert or something, they may negotiate a flat rate of X number of dollars per month for whatever they bring.
I would certainly be comfortable, and I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
I would be comfortable in sharing information with you. The agencies that I checked with, which included the municipal agencies and some federal agencies, range from $40 a day to $53 a day.
Is our city jail still operable?
It is not.
I'm gonna be living in a cave, I guess. I didn't know that.
I don't know the last time that city jail was operable. It certainly has not been in the 29 years that I've been here. When we built the new police department, it did have 2 holding cells, but they are now storage closets. Thank you, Departmental Health Department of Justice.
I know what it looks like inside.
Chief, the contract we're considering tonight does not include that amendment that you were just talking about.
It does not. It's the original amendment that the sheriff's office presented to us that's consistent with the last at least 6 years.
All right, thank you.
In other words, we're voting just on the $40 a day to continue, Chief?
Absolutely. I just wanted to give you and share the information with the negotiations that we have ongoing. So even if we did approve this, it could change if they agree to something similar, or maybe even throw out a counter proposal. I've got the numbers. Currently, they pay about $18,000 a year for dispatch services with what they've been billed and have been at that rate since about 2008 to 2010 that I know. I provided some information to the city manager, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and it was a 3-year average of dispatch services, just kind of revisiting that and see where we need to go. Their current usage and the current formula we use, their yearly bill would be about $50,000 instead of the $18,000. And then our care and maintenance of prisoners over the last 3 years averages about $75,000. So 50, 75,000. So, even a counter proposal, I think, would be a nice gesture.
Well, this is pretty much important that we pass this, I would think, because of the expiration being the end of this month.
Atoka's a long way.
Is there any other discussion, or are we ready to call for a motion?
You said the county pays us about $18,000 a year for dispatch.
That's currently approximately. It's not the exact
And
number.
we're paying
what
on
they
an
pay.
average of $75,000 a year for jail.
Correct, and that's 3-year averages.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Call for the motion.
Make a motion that we continue the agreement with $40 a day.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Will the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5, executive session. Do we have a motion that we recess or adjourn, go into executive session?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Would the clerk please record the vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye.
Mayor Groby.
Aye. We're now going.
Did you see who did the second on to go into executive session?
Okay.
that.
call roll again, right? Do we call roll or just call it back? Okay. Reconvene. All right. All right. We have a motion to reconvene from the executive session.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
The agenda 5A was inadvertently. Oh, okay.
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye. Here now.
And Mayor Groby has left the meeting, so.
All right, on 5A was really not meant to be on the agenda. It got there kind of by mistake, so nothing was discussed about it. And on 5C, we have a motion to, okay, on 5C, consider entering into executive session to confer on matters. Okay, on just D, okay. Consider action pursuant to item 5C. That says 6. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We have a motion to consider action on 5C.
Make a motion to authorize the sale of 39.45 acres mentioned in agenda item 4F for $5,000 per acre.
I'll second.
Okay, can we have a vote?
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye. All right, passed. On, need to consider action pursuant to item 5E. We have a motion.
I make a motion to authorize the distribution of death benefits to Levi Williamson.
Second.
Second.
Okay, call for a vote.
Okay. Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye. All right. Do we have any new business? Okay. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. We vote?
Okay.
Call for a vote.
Councilmember Brittingham.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Morris.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shear.
Aye. Okay.
Okay. Now I'll just take a moment to get to a different meeting here. Do they all need to join up or no, Byron?
For some reason.
No? Okay.
Which one are we gonna do?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going into this utilities, okay, yeah. All right. Okay, it is 7:57 PM. Call to order the Durant City Utilities Authority. Can we have a roll call?
Yes. Trustee Brittingham.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Morris.
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear,
Here.
Chairman Groby. Oh, she is absent.
All right, order of business is on the consent items. Number 1, consider approval of the regular minutes of August 10th, 2021. Have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve consent item.
Second.
All right, can we have a call for vote?
Trustee Brittingham,
Aye.
Trustee Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear,
Aye.
Chairman Groby. Oh, is absent, sorry.
All right, we have on number 3 of the consent items, are there any items that someone would like to discuss? Information items on number 3, reports. No, so we just go on to number 4, the administration. Number 4A, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the purchase of a bike-fit cable roll-off truck from Western Star in the amount of $75,350.
Good afternoon, evening, gentlemen. This is for out at the landfill to pick up the compactors that are out at the Choctaws. They are cable load compactors, and we currently only have one truck, and it's been down for 3 months. We're having to borrow one from Sword at Ardmore, and if we can get it today, they need them picked up. We pick up 2 of those compactors 3 times a week, and 3 of them 1 time a week. We're making a considerable amount of money off of these compactors. I think we need to buy this backup truck, so we'll have it. Any questions?
Philip, did I read that correctly, that in the last 90 days, we've lost $96,000?
That's the last six billing dates, we made 96,000. Yes, we're losing about, if we don't pick them up, it's almost $4,000 a week, over $4,000 a week, out at Choctaws. So,
Who, do we have those type of roll-offs anywhere else?
yes, Webstront
Okay.
have some. I think Kenny wasn't new.
Webstront and the Choctaw headquarters also have one of their on-call bases.
Yeah.
Who's filling in the gap for us while we're
Our
non-operational?
competitors.
Well, I figured that. So,
But we're getting them if we can get the Sword truck over there. But if not, they're having to call other people.
someone,
So,
okay, good.
yeah.
And what's wrong with the truck that's broke down? It's repairable?
It's being repaired. It's the same type of truck we've had problems with in the past, those cats with wiring harnesses that are like $20,000.
Yeah.
And it takes 3 or 4, 5 months to get the wiring harness. It's being repaired. Hopefully, it's not a guarantee that the wiring harness is gonna fix it, but it's in the shop now.
What's the old adage? 2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Exactly.
This is not a new truck probably, is it?
It's a 2014. They have some that are 2020s, but you're looking at $142,000 instead of $75,000. I have quotes for two 2020s included in the packet. One of those is $178,500, and of course it has and the other one's $192,500. So
These are ready to go too, aren't they?
yes, all the ones that I sent in the packet are ready to go.
John, have we got the money?
Yes, I talked to Ann Chin, and we found money to pay for this $75,000 truck, not the $192,000 one. So,
Make a motion, we buy the Western Star truck. 75,350.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Cindy, would you call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Morris.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Aye. Okay, passed. All right.
stay here.
Consideration and possible action on repairs to the BOMAG machine to be performed by Yellow House Machinery in the amount of $63,474.
Yes, this is the trash compactor out at the landfill. It's a 2013 model. This is the first significant repair that we've had on this. And what it is like a big sheep's foot. What it does is it compacts the trash up on the hill where we can cover it. It pushes it down on the ground. This is the first real problem we've had with this one. It's expensive. They have to break it. It's a swivel in the middle. They have to break it apart to do the repairs to it. So right now, the only way we're making the trash to go down is running over back and forth with a bulldozer, and it doesn't do the job. You don't get the cover that DEQ requires you to have. So a new one of these is about $600,000. And they said repaired, the value was about $90,000?
Auction estimate was between $85,000 and $90,000. So we make this repair.
Kenny, if I could get you to come up here.
Yeah.
The people at home can't hear you.
Yeah.
Auction estimate is between $85,000 and $90,000. If we were to trade this machine in after making this repair, they would probably only give us 40 to 50. So the repair is more than a trade-in value. So we're gonna, and like we haven't had that many problems with this machine, but whenever it is a problem, it's expensive.
So again, the same question.
But it's essential.
Councilman Morris had budgeted? I mean,
Yes,
wasn't in
this
the
is,
budget,
but he has this in his maintenance budget to fix this.
The only reason that it had to come to council is because it's above our authority approval. Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Any more questions? Any more discussion? This is the wise thing to do, in your opinion?
Yes, sir. I don't think we have much choice. So,
Okay. Don't want to buy a new one this year.
well, it's not in the budget.
What's the estimated service life after we do this, would you say?
Well, we had 7 years out of it before, or 8 years before we had any major problems out of it. I would be guessing, but I'd say we'd probably get another 8 to 10 years out of it.
I did have one more quick question. You might have said, how long are we going to be down for the repair?
They said the BOMAG, it's a 40-hour fix, but that don't mean there's not 10 machines in front of us already.
And it's been down for a while now. So.
Our bigger dozer, before we bought this compactor, they used the 1050C dozer to compact the trash. But every time you get it in the trash, you run the risk of getting something in your final drive seal, and that's a $10,000. Well, 6 years ago, that was a $10,000 fix.
Yeah.
So we try to keep it out of the trash and just push dirt with it when we can. And I've been waiting 3 weeks for a hydraulic hose to fix that dozer so we can compact the trash, because we're using probably 8 to 10 times more dirt trying to cover this uncompacted trash.
else? All right, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the repairs to the BOMAG machine performed by Yellow House Machinery in the amount of $63,474.34.
I'll second. Cindy, would you call?
Thanks,
roll?
Kenny.
Trustee Brittingham.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Morris.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Aye. All right, passed. Number C, discussion, consideration, and possible action on award of filter under drain repair bid to Howard Construction in the amount of $125,000.
We went out we sent this to 60 contractors. This is the only bid we received. So they're gonna, and will be working out at the water plant because they have our expansion that we voted in last year to do. And what happened is we had under drain issues like we did in 2018, where we had to replace the under drain. And we're gonna replace all 3 of the remaining ones because we could buy the under drains cheaper by buying 3 of them than one cost. This is the $20,000 is to replace 3 under drains. Tear them out, replace them, and put the media back in the filters.
And we're providing the parts, right?
And we provide parts, yes. We budgeted for that. And for the media.
Is this something that they'll start immediately as soon as just?
No, it'll be January or February before we get the under drains. And this has been going on, we ordered the under drains last March. Due to material and not having the employees to build these. They build these under drains when ordered because they have to specifically fit your filters. So that's how long we're behind, is till January or February because of metal and not having the employees to build them. So, which Howard will still be out at our water plant working on other things in January. So, I mean, and a good thing, I say a good thing, with it being in January, we'll have a lower flow out there, and we'll probably be able to pull 2 of those filters down. Once he repairs one of them, we'll have 2 filters running in that plant. He'll be able to pull the other 2 down, and they'll get fixed faster, instead of having to do one at a time and put them online because of the flow. Being in summertime at 6.5 million, it'll be lower and we can handle less water through those.
Any more discussion? So we have a possible motion on.
Make a motion to approve the award of the filter under drain repair bid to Howard Construction in the amount of $125,000.
Second.
Got a second? Cindy, would you call a roll?
Trustee Brittingham.
Aye.
Trustee Miller. Trustee Morris.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. Number 5, do we have any new business?
This could be new business. Philip, I have one more question for you, please. I've noticed in the last couple of weeks a considerable amount of a dark, oily liquid being leaked out coming from the landfill and going north on 9th. Do you mind kind of checking on that and seeing what the heck it is?
Yes, sir, I will.
It looks like several vehicles. It's not just like an oil leak on a truck. It's a spillage.
Okay.
Coming right out the gate, and they turned into town.
Where at?
Coming out of the gate of the landfill on 9th.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can see it tomorrow if you go look.
Okay,
I think
I'll
it's
go
not a
check
big deal.
that.
It's just, that's spilling stuff on the highways. pet peeve. And,
Right, I understand.
You know.
Motorcycle, right, I
Yeah.
understand.
it's just, I'd like to know what it is and.
Okay, I'll check that out first thing in the morning.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
All right, anything else, Liz? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Cindy, would you call the roll?
Trustee Brittingham,
Aye.
Trustee Miller, Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Aye. All right, we are out of the Utilities
Okay.
Authority meeting,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, give me just a second here and I'll
Okay.
get us into the new one.
well, leave the meeting.
Okay.
All right. It is 8:14, and we're now in the Durant Airport Authority meeting. Cindy, would you call roll?
Yes, Trustee Brittingham,
Here.
Trustee Miller,
Here.
Trustee Morris,
Here.
Vice Chairman Shear,
Here.
Chairman Groby is absent.
Okay. The regular meeting minutes of August 10th, 2021. Any discussion? No. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent item.
Second.
All right. Cindy, would you call the roll?
Sure. Trustee Brittingham,
Aye.
Trustee Miller,
Aye.
Trustee Morris,
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Aye. Okay. Information items, Durant Regional Airport. Do we want to hear a report?
Good evening. This will probably be pretty easy. Everything's going pretty good. You see on our report, our sales are still really well, climbing good. One thing I want to mention, the actual fuel sale amount is really not indicative of the amount of traffic we get. Because if you look at the number of sales, we actually had more sales in quantity this last month than we did before, but we had like 8,400, 85,000 in dollar sales last month. This month, the dollar was a little bit less. The volume was really high. You'll see it next month because this last week alone, we did over $25,000 in sales. So, and it was probably the least amount of traffic of all of those by week. So the big jets are really coming in. And it's a matter of getting the time with them to say, hey, use us, not the airport that you're leaving from. Another good thing that I really wanted to mention, it's not that terribly important probably for you guys, but everybody at the airport is very excited about the FAA approving our frequency change. It's been really a hazard lately with the amount of volume of flights around the airport. We've had some very close calls. We've actually been called from Fort Worth Center several times. We've been called from the Choctaw Nation. There's been people popping into the pattern and not being safe. So the frequency change is something that we're all looking forward to. James and I got together and it's officially changing November 4th. And I believe that's really all I have. If y'all don't have any questions.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Number 4, any administrative item done, or any new business? No? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Second? Yeah, all right.
Okay, trustee Brittingham.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Morris.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Shear.
Aye.